Hey guys! Today I would like to talk with you about In 5 Years, the romance novel by Rebecca Surley, which was published in 2020. As per usual, we will start with a short synopsis of the book, then proceed to the non-spoiler review, and finish this video with a full-on spoiler rant. Those who haven't read the book yet, but would like to do so, do not worry, I will make sure to let you know when the spoilers begin. First things first. So what is In 5 Years about? Well, official synopsis would want you to think that this novel is about a young woman, a true go-getter, who knows perfectly well what she wants, and she is well on her way to achieve it. She nails her interview for a dream job, she gets engaged to a man that fits perfectly into her life, and she has the next 5 years planned out to a T. And yet, on the evening of her engagement, Danny falls asleep and wakes up in the strange apartment. She quite quickly realizes that she has traveled 5 years into the future. And guess what? The future is not exactly what she expected it to be. She lives in a different apartment, she dates a different man, and she wears a different engagement ring on her finger. However, all of that doesn't throw her off, at least not too much. She decides to go with the flow. She ends up having delicious homemade pasta dinner, a few glasses of wine, and hooks up with this new fiancé she met like an hour ago. And then she wakes up on her couch, back in her present timeline. Not going to lie, when I read the synopsis, I thought I will truly enjoy this book. I'm a bit of a sucker when it comes to the whole existential debate on whether we can do something to change the future, or is our destiny set in stone and all the things we do will still give us the same exact outcome? Now that seems interesting, but that really isn't the point of the book. If anything, you could remove the whole she travels into the future plotline and barely anything in the story will change. I think that by now you already understand how I feel about this book, so it will not be a shock when I say that I wasn't a fan. I do not deny that the writing style is nice, easy to read, and that if you really want to, you can find some deeper meaning in the story. I also do see how a lot of people might enjoy it or ugly cry reading it, and yet I just didn't like it. Not at all. If anything, while reading this book, I kept on getting more and more angry over and over again. And I have a strong feeling that when reading a romance novel, anger is not supposed to be your go-to emotion. And this brings me to a very important point. In 5 Years is not a romance novel. I know that the book is advertised as a romance novel and that it even made it into the top of the Goodreads list for the best romance books of 2020. Also, I'm well aware that romance can be seen in many different ways. But once you pick a book from the top 10 romance books of the year and you read the synopsis that implies a love triangle or a woman finding a true love with a different man by breaking out of her old lifestyle, which prioritizes work and money over human connection, you do expect the book to be actually heavy on the romance, to sweep you off your feet, so to say. Instead, we got a story about friendship, a story which for me felt inherently pessimistic, where nothing ever goes right, and which will make you question if there is even point to all this suffering, which would have been more than fine if I would have picked a book from the drama genre category. And one more thing before we go full into the spoilers. None of the characters in this book felt real. They were just so one-dimensional and cliched. Let's see, we have our protagonist Danny, who is, in my personal opinion, just awful. I mean, usually when I read books, I tend to write down little snippets of thoughts that come into my mind while reading, just to make it easier for myself to write a review afterwards. So when I was reading In 5 Years, I was only on page 2 when I couldn't stop myself anymore from pulling out my notebook and marking down how much I dislike Danny. Right from the get-go, she comes out as uptight and self-centered. Admittedly, after the first chapter, I tried to stop myself from judging Danny too much and look for a problem elsewhere. I thought maybe Dani rubs me the wrong way because she's 28 and already has all of her life figured out, while I am the same age and I have no clue what I'm doing whatsoever. Now, after reading the whole thing, I can say without doubt, no, it's not me, it's Dani. She's awful. She lies to her boyfriend and she lies to her best friend. She comes off as unsupportive and judgmental of Bella's choices and lifestyle. And I know that when it comes to her relationship with Bella, it becomes better with time. But even towards the end of the book, Dani just feels sorry for herself and puts herself and her immediate needs first. And talking about Bella, for me, she felt less like an actual human and more like a first draft of a character. The book concentrated heavily on her and Dani's friendship, and yet the only thing we learn about Bella is that she is incredibly beautiful, rich, and free-spirited. Oh, and she has a complicated relationship with her parents, because throughout most of her life, her parents enjoyed traveling and spending money more than they enjoyed having a daughter. For someone who is one of the most important characters in the book, it feels like she is barely even in it. We just keep on reading about the things that keep on happening to her, without actually getting to know her. And lastly, we have two Dani's fiancés. The present-time fiancé, David, whose name I actually had to look up again for this video, even though I just finished reading the book a week ago, and her future fiancé, Aaron. And in my opinion, they both are completely useless as characters. Or more like, they do not have any personality at all. They're just kinda there, as perfect supportive characters. And I do mean perfect, but not in a fun and witty kind of way. Instead, they're so perfect that they come off as boring. I do realize that the book is not about them, but even for supportive characters, I sure would have liked them to have some kind of personality. Anyhow, if you haven't read the book and feel like you really want to read it just to prove me wrong, now it's the perfect time for you to stop watching this video. As from now on, I will be going much more into the spoiler territory. And to be honest, I really do not want to spoil the book for you. Because when I was reading it, the thought that I have no clue how the book will end became the main force that pushed me to keep on reading. Okay, so let's talk about it. The two big cats in the bag. Bella's cancer and the non-romantic relationship between Dani and Aaron. While reading, I just could not get rid of the feeling that the book itself didn't know what it wanted to be. It started out as a love story, then proceeded to be a story of a woman who starts to reconsider the things she values in her life, and then the book has us quickly make a turn into cancer territory. The big problem here is that the premise of the book promises us the romance between Dani and Aaron. So when we get to know that Aaron is actually the guy Bella is dating, the story suddenly takes you on a weird moral journey, where you keep on asking yourself, does Rebecca Surly really wants me to root for Dani to get together with her best friend's boyfriend? Even though Aaron and Dani had only a few decent conversations? Even though her friend is expecting a baby? Even though her friend is dying from cancer? Even though Aaron is not just Bella's boyfriend anymore, but her fiance? Oh, and did I mention that she is dying from cancer? Most of the book passes until you understand that there will be no romance here, which then gives you a temporary relief until you remember that somehow these two, despite everything you just read, still end up in bed together. Admittedly, I do not have an authority over how people grieve, but having sex with your dead best friend's fiance somehow still feels icky for me, especially since throughout the whole book there was no chemistry between Dani and Aaron. Instead, we only had a few half-assed conversations. Up until the very end, it doesn't even feel like they're dealing with Bella's illness together. They're both there for Bella, of course, but as individuals, not as a team. Not as someone who got close due to shared pain. Consequently, the hookup scene for me felt so forced, like it was put in there just so that the beginning of the book would make sense. And weirdly enough, I think that this was the thing that disappointed me the most in this book. When we finally reached 15th of December, that very evening Dani traveled to 5 years ago, And we see it from the context of two friends who just lost someone they loved so very much. Nor their dialogue, nor their actions actually make any sense. It's like the author really wanted to give us this cool plot twist, but couldn't be bothered to make all the pieces of the puzzle really fit. Questions such as, do you know me? Or am I still a lawyer? Just doesn't make any sense. It's not the kind of thing you would ask your dead best friend's fiance. Nor would you try to escape him to go to a deli right after you ate dinner together. You know him, you're not scared of him. So why would you even try to run away? Especially since this is your own apartment where you live alone. If you want to be alone, you can always just ask him to leave. Oh, and how convenient is that Aaron still had some of his work clothes left behind in Danny's closet? The same closet that Bella hired personnel to come and clean and sort specifically to meet Danny's needs. Yeah, right. So in a nutshell, for me, this book had an excellent premise, and I really honestly wanted to love it, and yet I couldn't. But that's just my opinion. What about yours?